We only live once, so why not live to the best of your ability? Why not live in confidence? Why not live every day knowing that you get to control whatever it is and you put your best foot forward every single day, right? When I was skinny as shit, when I was lost in life, when I genuinely had no idea, no ambitions, no goals, nothing to work towards I was skinny, just doing nothing, playing video games all day. When I was doing that bullshit, I felt depressed. I felt horrible, you know? You feel like shit because one, you're not confident. Two, more than likely you're living for other people, right? I went to university when I was 18, and for the first time in my life, I genuinely realized that I didn't want to be like everyone else. I knew deep down that I had something bigger to offer. I realized that I could add real value, real life-changing value to people's lives, which ties into the fact that you do not become a man with age, right? That's a common misconception, right? They're like, oh, I'm 20, I'm 25, I'm a grown-ass man. No, you become a man through the trials, the tribulations, everything you're going through. That is what shapes you as a man. There's plenty of grown men out there who are 25, 30. They still haven't had that reality check hit them, bro. They still haven't had a glimpse or had a taste of what it feels like to go through struggle. They just go through the motions. You don't want to be one of those people who goes through the motions, because everybody goes through the motions. Every single person, like 99% of people go through the motions, right? Say there's 300 people and you want to be the 1%. You want to be the fucking 1%. You want to be the lowest percentile of people. And you're acting like the other 299. How do you think you're going to get there? How do you think you're going to end up where your desired outcome is? A lot of people might project on you. They might say, oh, what you're doing is insane. But basically the definition of insane is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. How can you be so entitled to think, yeah, I'm gonna be like the rest of the people living. I'm gonna be like the rest of the people living, and I'm gonna end up where I wanna be, when you have these strong ambitions in life, right? Which all ties back to the main point, bro. It all ties back to the main point. You need to be confident. You need to actually want to do something big with your life. Everyone wants to do something big. Like, if it was handed to you on a silver platter, you would take it. Most men would take it. But then they don't understand that it would genuinely destroy them, right? Look at all the people who win the lottery. That shit destroys them. You know why? Because they weren't actually capable. They didn't build themselves up. They didn't develop personally to the point where they can handle that amount of money, right? So it fucking destroys them. It destroys them. So you need to build yourself up into that person, right? Get jacked. You need to get jacked as a man. If you aren't jacked and you don't know a combat sport, or you don't know something, I feel like that's the biggest thing that's holding you back, right? Before, like I mentioned previously in this video, when I was skinny as shit, no ambitions. Yeah, I played basketball, but I didn't think I was going far in that. I didn't think I was going to do anything with that, right? I had no ambitions. Like, I knew I always wanted to be something big, but until I started lifting, until I went to university and saw what it is like to be the average person, then that's when it clicks. That is when it clicks, right? So live this life in confidence, bro. You need to live the life you want. We only have one life. Why would you live for others? Don't people please. People pleasing is probably one of the worst frequencies, one of the worst states you can be in. And the whole time, you're pleasing people you wouldn't even want to be like. You wouldn't even want to surround yourself with those type of people. Genuinely, you wouldn't want to live their life. But instead, You surround yourself with those type of people because, their approval makes you feel better. Chasing approval will genuinely never get you anywhere. You won't get anywhere because that's what everybody does. And I will say this over and over and over. But if you want to be someone, don't expect results from doing things that everyone else does. Some of my family invited me to go drink yesterday, go party, go have some fun. But you gotta sacrifice that. I've went to the club one time and that shit was boring as fuck. Ooh, ooh, ooh. What the fuck are you doing, bro? Genuinely. But what I'm trying to say is, they invited me, and last night, guess what? I made some money instead. Because that's what you have to do, bro. God is going to reward you. The universe, God, they're all going to reward you for taking the harder route. Because there's not a lot of people who do it anymore. 99% of people, like I say, they don't want to fucking suffer. They don't want to suffer. They don't want to go through the hardships. They don't want to go through any of it. They just want to fucking drift through life. And how do you expect to get anywhere if you're just drifting, right? You're just going through the motions. No consistency. You're like, oh, I'm going to go out with Scott and friends tonight. I'm going to go play video games all day. I'm going to do nothing, right? Be something. You got to leave your mark on this earth. That's what I think. You have to leave something of you to remember when you're gone, right? Think of it. If you died tomorrow, how would everyone remember you, bro? How would everyone remember you? Genuinely. Would you be someone that people would genuinely want to look up to? If you answer no to that question, you genuinely have to do some goal setting. You have to do some thinking. You have to start developing yourself into a person that's admirable, who's charismatic, who uplifts people, who brings value into people's lives, right? And that's what the world needs. So, man, live in confidence, bro. Live in confidence. Be your authentic self. Don't try to, act cool for other people. Don't try to fucking pose online. Don't try to do no bullshit. Simply just be yourself. Work hard. Be consistent. Persevere through the hardships. And you will get to where you need to be. And if this video brought any value to your life, go ahead and subscribe. Comment anything that you had questions about, Go ahead and follow my Instagram. I'm very active on there. And yeah, hope y'all stay blessed. Live life, man. Live life. Be yourself. Grind every day. I'll be back for you guys on Wednesday. Have a great Sunday. See you. Peace.